Okay, here's another idea that I had based on exit slips. And we're doing formative assessment discussion, and one of the formative assessments that we said we were going to do was exit slips. And I said, okay, I was finding that we didn't have time to do exit slips. We just don't have time to do exit slips. So I said, okay, we're going to do it for homework. You're going to have to do this format. And when you finish with this format, you return this slip in the morning as part of your daily homework. So we called it an entrance slip. And so people, my co-teachers were all saying, so what, you don't let them in if they don't have an entrance slip? I said, no, I let them in. They just come in and they just owe me one every day. And what happens is after they do the entrance slips, we have a cumulative or a conclusive event. And, I've just started it this year and I'm just making it up as I go. But it's made up based on 18 years of actual teaching experience. So, sometimes they don't know what to expect because this is the first year. So I said, okay, one of the things we're going to do is you're going to do ZPD reading. And in the ZPD reading, you are required to find 5 words, since this is a challenging book, 5 words every day that you read, which is in 20 minutes of reading a day, minimum. You should be able to find 5 words in your reading that were not easy to understand. And when you find those non-easy to understand words, you're going to write them down on an entrance slip. So I found that this young lady in my class had a really, really good way of doing her entrance slips. And the only way you'll know what a great entrance slips looks like is after you implement the program. I make them write their name, make them write their date, 5 words that were difficult, and the name of the book, the challenging book that they chose. And they know that at the end of this, the cumulative or the conclusive exercise is that I will give them an oral test where I will just say some of the words, and then we're required that they define the word using a keyword definition, a super simple way, like maybe even as simple as a synonym, a common word for their word that gives them an idea or reminds them of what the word means. So just even simple keywords, a key phrase, or even a doodle there that would show that they know what the word means, if it could be defined with a simple doodle, because everyone knows a picture is worth 1,000 words. So what happens is this student wrote the word alacrity, which she wrote eagerness next to, egregious, which is very bad, congent or cogent, convincing, I think she meant cogent, but she wrote congent, decry, to criticize, garrulous, which is very talkative. So at the end of, say, the month, every month we're going to do the conclusive exercise or oral exam. And she wrote where she got the words from. And these are SAT words because I gave certain students who achieved a certain level of something. I said, okay, you get the SAT words pack that I used years ago when we used to do the SAT. And so here's some words that she actually got from a book. The Witchy Worries of Abby Adams. She found the word exerted, which is to put forth or into use. Circa, which is about. Conjure, recall. Spectacle, impressive view. Aerial, produced by the air. Okay, and so this is just a real quick definitions that they come up with for words that they found in their challenging reading each day, or their ZPD, which is Zone of Proximal Development reading, which, again, I got that from a co-teacher at this school. I said, I want to challenge their reading. He says, oh, ZPD? And I says, okay, so ZPD's been a big word this year for us. But like I said, at the end of the month, they should have about 20 of these slips. And I tell them, you're responsible for these words. Once you put it down there, you better be able to use it in a sentence and define it. And I'm going to ask maybe 10 you to know. Randomly, I'm just going to flip through here, find the hardest words, and say for you to define 10 words. Pick one and then go through 10. And each one I ask you to define, you're going to have to give me a sentence in proper context. So if the word was egregious, then I'd say, okay, use it in a sentence. Define it. She says, very bad. Use it in a sentence, and she might say, it was my friend committed a very egregious act when they told my secrets to the entire student body. And so, okay, so that's very bad. So that's a contextual sentence. The other entrance slips we're using are something I created because there's a lot of different ways of doing them, so I just make up my own. I said, what do I want? I want one statement of epiphany or one statement of insight that you have, and we call these the insight slips. So there's actually two things running at the same time for entrance slips. They have to give me 5 vocabulary words, with definitions and keywords, and then they also have to give me insight slip. So one thing that you learned from the school day, one question that you have that's a burning question, and one doodle with caption, because I like doodles and kids like doodles too. So this student said, today I learned, it should have the name. The student did not write their name on it, so I'm a little bit disappointed with that. Oh, here's the name, but they didn't put it on every page. I want name, number, and date on every page. So they said, today I learned that themes and topics are very different. Okay, themes and main ideas are very different. Question, why are they different? And then so they drew a little doodle of theme, topic, same. Okay, that one wasn't that insightful, but here's one. Today I learned Oreo format is the easiest way to understand parts of a persuasive essay. And again, I'll give credit where credit is due. There was a student that said, Mr. Lee, when you're doing a persuasive essay, you could just call that the Oreo. And so she doodled an Oreo, which would be the opinion, R is your reasoning, E is your evidence, and your O becomes your restating of your opinion, and that's a very simple way of doing a persuasive essay. And so this character here is saying, yum, great Oreo, or giant Oreo. So the question was, when you're estimating tenths place, hundredths, or thousandths, you look to the right of the whole number. That's not a question, but you get the idea. At least it's something. It's forcing them to think every day what happened during the day and what kind of questions they might have. Today I learned that when you write persuasive essay, evidence is the most important part. This is true. This is a good question. Can some stories not have a climax? No. The story has to have a climax. If the story doesn't have a climax, guess what? There's a movie out right now. I told the students, there's a movie out right now that doesn't have a real plot diagram, and it's killing me. I'm watching it and I almost fell asleep. That's because the climax was weak. But I'm not even going to tell you the title. It's going to ruin your whole understanding of it. So, and they were all begging me, please tell me what the title is. It's like, no. You watch whatever movies and you try to find the plot diagram, and if the plot diagram in your opinion is not good, there's no roller coaster ride. Again, there's another analogy. Like a plot diagram's like a roller coaster ride. You got your exposition, you're going up, and it should feel exciting. So how can a story without a climax be worth watching? So no. I mean, you could have a story with no climax and it would be a very lousy story. So yeah, you can. It's just a lousy story. Today I learned that revision always happens. Now I talked about that a couple days ago. Each one of these represents one day and one entry slip. So today I learned that, and it took us a while to figure out that these brads were the best way to do it. I tried using paper clips, I tried using binder rings, but they're too heavy. So ultimately we ended up with these things that no one even uses anymore. These little brads. I mean, people use them for projects, but they worked fine. I just make sure I hole punch all these slips. So this is probably taking forever. So revision always happens. How can revision happen in speech? I told them revision always happens. You're always changing your idea before it comes out of your mouth. You might have started trying to say something and then you realize it was the wrong thing to say. It would hurt somebody's feelings, so you change and revise your thought immediately. So that's in real time. Then a boy came to me at the end of the day and said, well, what about playing games? How's games revision? I says, well, you play a game, and then when you make a mistake, you don't play the game the same way the next time because you revised you've changed the way you look at it and you revise it. So you edit the way you do things, and that's why editing and writing and real life are the same thing. That's why you have to do writing well, because if you don't do writing well, your life and your thinking is not going to work well. And so anyways, those are entrance and exit slips, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how that works in my classroom. And I'll just zoom in from here. Okay, those are my insight entrance slips. Those are my vocab entrance slips, and each one of those has a name, a number. And I got these mini pocket charts at Target one year, and I bought it for like 5 years ago, and I never used them until it finally came to my mind how I should use them, and then it worked out perfectly. And this is working well too. This is my responsibility checklist, or a graph, So I actually ended up using those, and that's something totally different. That's classroom management, and that's where they write little slips of paper that remind them to bring certain things that they forgot to bring and turn them in. And by the way, for these entrance slips, I make sure that I have enough of those, and they look like this. I have a whole box of them, and they already have hole punches, and it's very easy to cut those out. So you just, for me, I measure, you know, the construction paper, and I just kind of divvy them up. I can't tell you the exact measurement, but yeah, they're good. They work. Thank you. Bye.